Scratch the surface of any cynic, and you will find a wounded idealist underneath. Because of previous pain or disappointment, cynics make their conclusions about life before the questions have even been asked. This means that beyond just seeing what is wrong with the world, cynics lack the courage to do something about it. The dynamic beneath cynicism is a fear of accepting responsibility. John Ortberg. I grew up as a missionary kid. My parents have been missionaries for almost 18 years now in Central America, and for 13 of those years I lived with them. I was homeschooled. I helped them out with ministry projects occasionally. Occasionally I would help out with lessons. I would help out with outreach, delivering food to impoverished families. I lived with them. I did life with them, and that was my life for 13 years until I moved back to the United States to attend college. Being the child of two missionaries, and two very passionate missionaries at that, who were very dedicated to their ministry and dedicated to their calling, I was very heavily surrounded by Christian thinking. My parents did a very good job of raising me in a Christian environment. So it kind of naturally followed then that when I graduated from high school at the age of 17, I moved back to the United States and I attended a one-year Bible Institute for that year right after graduation, where I learned theology. We went through the whole Bible and studied it in a survey format. We learned about missions. We learned about apologetics. We learned about Christian ethics. This was a very intensive Christian program that I chose to attend because I wanted to be solid in my faith and know exactly what I believed. It was after I left the mission field and after I graduated from Bible college that there started to develop in me a little bit of cynicism toward Christianity and toward the Christian church specifically. What happened was when I finished Bible college, I moved to my hometown in the United States, where I grew up the first 4 years of my life. I attended a community college in that town, and I started to attend some local churches. In starting to meet new friends who were professing Christians, and in starting to attend these new churches, I realized something very quickly, and that was that very few Christians seemed to be practicing the Christianity that I grew up with and the Christianity that I had just spent a year of my life learning about. As I started to make friends who were professing Christians, I realized that a lot of them were very shallow in their faith. A lot of them really didn't know why they were Christians. A lot of them couldn't really explain to me the foundations of what they believed. They just believed it because that's what they felt was right, or that's what they grew up with. And in the churches, it seemed like a lot of the churches were striving for relevancy or some kind of cultural acceptance more than they were acceptance from God. Needless to say, I was disheartened and I was disappointed. This is where I started to realize some cynicism that was growing inside of me. I would look at people and compare them to my Christian experience, and I would say, you do not look anything like the Christians I know or the Christianity that I learned about. You do not look like you believe in the God that I believe in. And, to be honest, that hurt a little bit because when I graduated from Bible college, was very excited about my faith. I had grown a lot, and I came into an environment where I thought I would be edified even more and where I would grow even more. And it turned out that that was just not really the case, that people were not in the same place that I was. So out of this disappointment and this little bit of hurt, there developed within me cynicism toward Christianity, toward my fellow believers, and toward the Christian church to some extent, because I was just looking at them and I was really wondering, are you genuine people? Are you really believers? Like, are you a church really dedicated to the gospel? Are you a church who really, truly desires to know God? And it's at this point that I want to highlight the fact that cynicism is not a good thing. Cynicism looks at a situation and before even knowing the answers or the story behind the situation, makes a judgment and just walks away. And so in my case, instead of asking good questions to these churches and these believers, and instead of pressing them for answers, I just looked at them and I said, no, that's not right. That's not for me. And I would walk away. And that's not a good thing, because that's just adding to the problem. If there's a genuine problem in the Christian church and in my fellow believers, I ought to be the one to say, let me help you because I know better, because I've learned some things. Do I think there are problems in the Christian church in the United States? Yes, I do. I think the Christian church in the United States really needs to learn how to preach the Bible and live what they preach. I think there's a real lack of depth in the American church today that really unsettles me. It doesn't sit well. And it is what initially disheartened me and disappointed me, leading me to this cynical outlook on the church. But what I need to learn from that, and what I hope I'm conveying to you is that cynicism is not the way to deal with that. You need to put aside your judgmental nature and the part of you that just wants to say, no, leave them to their own devices, forget them. Those of us who know better and see a problem need to be the ones who reach out to them and say, let me help you. Because that's really the only way problems are going to get solved, is if someone realizes there's a problem and does something to make it better.